Everybody, it's Eugene here, and in a previous video I did a scan of a car, and I did it in a single loop, and by sort of moving the monopod up and down, the phone up and down and around, I was able to cover everything in one loop, and I did it in about 1 minute, so it was very efficient. But when it comes to scanning vehicles and you want to make sure that you get a lot of detail, it's always great to do a multi-loop method. And so today I'm going to be demonstrating that and how I would typically work with something like this. And the benefit of this is that it's a very structured and a very organized way of recording or documenting a vehicle or something like that. So I am going to be using a monopod. It's just a standard monopod you can get online or whatever. I've got a phone adapter and the phone itself with the LiDAR sensor, and of course it's running Recon-3D. Now of course I'm going to extend this out and then I'm going to be able to get up top. But the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to start low. Actually, I'm going to start a little bit farther back. Some people scan really close. I'm going to scan a little bit farther back. I'm going to get about the bottom half of the vehicle and the ground, and I'm going to come all the way around and do a loop. And my next pass, I'm going to move this up a bit, and I'm going to try to keep the sensor perpendicular to the side of the vehicle. So I'll do a loop kind of like all the way around like that. And then on the third loop, I'm going to be trying to get the top of the vehicle. So kind of at about a 45, but every now and then I may actually tilt this down a bit more. And the more perpendicular that sensor is to the roof and to the top of the vehicle, then well, it's going to be better. I should be able to get more data. So let me get started with this. And sometimes it can be a little tricky because you have to extend the monopod, but I think I'm going to be okay here. So I'm going to go like this, and what I'm going to do is I will call this the Hyundai, and this is what? This is the Santa Fe. So I'll just call it the SF. How about that? Hyundai SF. We're going to create. I'm going to stick with the 5mm. Again, I'm not using targets on this one. I'm going to do that in another video and explain how those are working, but that wouldn't change your scanning method. So let me get started here. This will be my starting point, and I'll go around clockwise. So I'm just going to go save scan settings, and you'll see how I'm sort of positioned right now. I'm getting a lot of the ground. Okay, so I'm scanning right now, and I'm just going to move around this way. And so I'm focusing more or less on the bottom, and you can get a little closer if you want. Like you can move in and out if I wanted to get the rims a little bit closer. And you can see I'm moving at a pretty good pace here. And so now what I'm going to do is, as I come back around, I'm going to start tilting this upwards to get more of the side of the vehicle. And I've got plenty of overlap there. Okay, I just kicked the monopod. That's not good, but it'll be fine. So I'm getting the side of the vehicle, looping around, still leaving enough room for the top and everything. Now over here, what I might do is I might just loop up a bit, tilt a little bit, maybe even go like this. And you can always stop and you can go back. That's not a problem. Like that. And now on this last loop, I'm going to start tilting up a bit, like that. And I'm going to make sure that I get the top of the vehicle. And the farther I am, I mean, I don't want to be too far, but I'm going to pass over top of the hood, make sure that I get that. And I'm going to make sure that I get plenty up here, just like that. I usually like to do one final pass, and I think that will be okay. So I'm just going to stop this right now. Got plenty of overlap, and let that save for later. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go process this online, and then I'm going to get the data. I'm going to push it into Cloud Compare, and then we're going to just have a quick look at it, and we can talk about how long it took and everything else. But you can see it was pretty quick, and of course if you're worried that you didn't capture something, just go and do it again. So it only took like a few minutes, so you can work with it from there. All right, thanks. Okay, so the scan is processed, and I'm back at my desk, and I'm just looking at this now in Cloud Compare. So you can see with the multi-loop scanning down here on the ground, not too bad. Could probably fill some things in a bit more, but I am noticing that, there's some little gaps and such, and that I wasn't really expecting this. In particular, you can see up here, there's some gaps here. And if we go to the other side, you'll see that there's like this little piece of missing data. And so I went back and I reviewed the video, and there may have been a couple of things that were factors. And one of the things might have been that it was sunny
that could have reduced the depth range a bit. And when I looked at the scanning, I really didn't pass specifically over this area. So this was a little bit of a learning exercise for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, I'm going to scan it again, and then I'll come back and then we'll look at the data once more. So stand by.
Okay, so it's another day, and right now it's overcast, and I'm going to try this again. So on the last scan, I had some issues right up and about this area, and a couple of factors that might have done that. One is it was sunny outside, and the second thing is that this is a little bit on the darker side for the gray. So I don't know if I also didn't get that area exactly as good as I should have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan this again. I'm going to use the same technique. I'm actually right now, just there's some overcast or some clouds, and I don't know, it could be sunny in a second here as the sun pops out. So I'm just going to use some standard settings. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to scan this and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm done here, and I did 3 loops, and I just did an extra pass in those areas just to make sure that I got these upper parts here. So I'm going to go ahead and start processing this on the cloud, and then we'll see what happens.
Okay, so we're back at the computer and you can see the model here. And the areas that were missing before are now filled in. So that's one side there. And let me go to this side. And you'll see that this part here is also filled in. So it just goes to show you that you can learn a few things. Just make sure you pass well over parts of the body. Again, there may have been a couple things here. One, because this vehicle, it's not a bright vehicle or a white colored vehicle. It could have absorbed some of the LiDAR sensor. And the other thing is that I probably didn't pass over it really well on both sides. I went back and looked at the video, not the best. But yeah, this works out good. The other thing too, when you're doing multi-pass, you can get in close to areas that you want more detail. So rims and maybe areas where there's damage can definitely be enhanced by getting a little bit closer. And I didn't do that. I just kind of did some quick passes around the vehicle and it worked out fine. So that's it. That's the multi-pass video. I did another one where I did single pass, and in the future I will look at doing other videos like doing interiors and things like that. Thanks a lot, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.